log cabin on the bank of the Anchor River in North America's farthest west point. Tonight I'm going to do some more Orthodox reading for us like I normally do. Starting a little bit earlier than normal today. It's still sunny out, but it's so cold. Not much I can do outside today. Still just waiting for all this ice to melt. So the first article that I'm going to read for you is called Thank You, I'll Think About It. 1 second while this translates. Hope everyone's doing good today. Thank You, I'll Think About It by Priest Tisarius Barozanets. Another anti-abortion conversation, another young woman unbaptized with a beautiful but completely impenetrable face. She's not here to understand what is the right thing to do. She's here to serve her duty. She was told that she came so that a note would appear in the card later. I talked to the priest. She'd already decided everything, and my husband does not mind. For them, this is the first time. I asked why. He looked somewhere past at the lectern, at the icon, out of the window, anywhere, but not in the eyes. He answers simply as if reading out a shopping list. We already have one child, a 2-year-old son. My husband often goes on business trips. It will be difficult for me with the second one. And then silence. Is that all? I asked. She looks at me. There's no challenge, no anger, no doubt in it, only a slight bewilderment. What, isn't this enough? Are there any other grounds for murder? The word murder hangs in the air. She doesn't even flinch. For her, this medical service is simply termination of pregnancy. For me, it is the execution of a completely defenseless and innocent person. I begin to persuade. I am saying that a child is not a burden or a mistake, but a gift, that the Lord giving a child gives also for a child, that he does not send trials beyond human strength, which means that if this child is already there, God will not leave him, and everything will be fine with his help. I say that there are crisis centers. There are people who are ready to help. There are, in the end, those who are ready to take a child for themselves. Don't kill him. She's silent. She doesn't even object, does not shake her hand negatively, does not argue. She just stands and waits for my annoying verbal noise to end, like a person in the rain. There is no umbrella, but the rain will end someday. Howdy, God bless. Thanks for joining. I changed my tone. I'm talking about responsibility. You are now facing a choice I address as you, because I want to break through this wall of indifferent politeness. And this is not just your personal choice. This is a choice for which you will answer before God. There will be no arguments before him. My husband is on business trips, or it was hard. There will only be one thing, you and your child, the one you didn't let be born. She shudders slightly and listens. But I will have to answer not only to God in front of herself. Your own soul is the soul of your mother. And if you step over your motherhood now, you will lose yourself. It will cut your life in two. He will destroy it. You have to answer to your family, to your husband. Together you have already produced one life, your son, and now you're going to destroy another one. How will you look at your husband after that? How will he look at you? You will become not comrades in arms, but accomplices in the crime committed. It can kill your marriage. This is what happens in most cases. What will you answer your son when he grows up and asks, Mom, why am I alone? Everyone has brothers and sisters, but I don't. When we kill children, we also kill the future of our country. We make it weak. Not only your fate and the fate of this baby depend on this decision right now, it depends on him what Russia will be like. This is a Russian article, but this depends on what America will be like, because the government's going to have its children anyway. They're either going to import them to join the military, or they're going to use the people that are here, Americans. The thing about the people that live here is that they care about their country. They care about the future generations that are to be born. The people that come in only care about benefits, what they can take from those who lived here. from our forefathers and foremothers that built this country that we live in? Will it be filled with the voices of children or the silence of empty apartments? Silence again, what is hidden behind fear, indifference, maybe glimpses of understanding. I pass on to what I know not from books, but from the terrible experience of confession. Abortion is not just the termination of pregnancy. This is the deepest unhealed wound that a woman inflicts on herself. She thinks that by getting rid of the child, she will get rid of the problem. In fact, she will forever wound and disfigure her whole life. Emptiness will settle in it. Emptiness in the place where once the first children's babbling, laughter, footsteps should have sounded. This emptiness does not overgrow and never stops. This pain, I say, will not go away. She can calm down for a while, hide behind business and work, everyday life, behind caring for others. But in the silence of the night, in the casual glance at someone else's baby, on the day that could have been her birthday, she would speak, and it will be unstoppable. You will try to drown it out with something, but it will not go anywhere. It is forever. I tell you about these who've already gone through this, about women who then come to confession a year later, 5 to 10 years later. They come with eyes in which flower is settled forever. You think I tell her that now you are deciding the issue of your comfort. In fact, you decide the question, will you then live with this painful emptiness inside? Can you see other women walking with strollers and not cry? Will you be able to look at your son and not think that he could have had a brother or a sister? You are young and strong now. It seems that it is easy to take and remove the obstacle, but the hindrance is not the child. The obstacle is your own egoism. And a child is life, and if you cut it off, it will be cut off not only in him, but also in you. She listens, still silent. For the first time in the entire conversation, her face expresses either doubt or fright, but this lasts only a moment. Thank you, I'll think about it. The conversation is over. She leaves, light, fast, and young. She carries away her 3-week-old baby whose life is in her power. I'm staying. I sit down on a bench in the corner of the church and begin to agonize. What did I say? What did you not pay attention to? Maybe I should have been softer or stricter. Maybe it was not about the wound, but about love, or about a miracle, or just take her by the hand and cry with her. I go through the words like a rosary. I replay the conversation over and over again. Thoughts creep into her head from which there is no escape. What if tomorrow she goes and does it? I got up and approached the icon of the Savior. Lord, I whisper, if you can still get through to her, get through. I have said my piece. Now it's your turn. The church is quiet. Lamps glow in front of the images, and a young woman is walking behind its walls. It goes further and further. What will she decide to do in the end? One can only believe that the seed has fallen, hope that it will sprout and give good fruit. It remains to love regardless of whether they want to hear you or not. Priest Tesarius Berosonets. Howdy, brothers and sisters. So that reading was from Russia, from Priest Tesarius Berosonets. In the next article that I'm going to read for us, Great Lent, We Must Row and Give the Rudder to God, by Archpriest Ilya Zubry. A lot of these articles, you'll notice that I read, are translated from Russian or Romanian or Georgian or Serbian. And it's because I want to try to give everyone a fullness in Christianity. There's a lot of beautiful writings that come from overseas, and I'm trying to share so much of this. Readings about the Desert Fathers and other things that help us in our lives. I'll read from several other books, from St. John Chrysostom, from St. Isaac the Syrian, the prayer books, the Psalter, the Horologion. Great Lent continues, the time when Orthodox Christians try to work especially hard to correct their souls. What should we pay special attention to so that the fast does not pass fruitlessly for us? There's no general recipe here, but Archpriest Ilya Zubry, rector of the Church of the Apostle John the Theologian in the village of Mogiltsy, Pushkin district, Moscow region, talks about some principles of correcting one's life during the days of Lent. Getting to know yourself. If a person wants to sincerely fast, change, and work on himself, then first of all, he must overcome the fear of meeting himself. Try to make honesty the starting point of this path. Ask yourself the following question. Do I really want to change something in myself in this post, or do I want to play a role again? Because in fact, sometimes we are so used to the roles that we play in life that we do not want to change much. Great Lent comes. Yes, we limit ourselves in food, go to services, change our way of life, but do we really want to meet our real selves at this time? Probably we all have an idea of how good we are. Good comments are written to us on social networks, acquaintances praise us. This is our external side. But you have to ask yourself, how do I act in those moments when no one sees me? Isn't this all theater for me? Am I ready to see myself? And indeed, when you get to know yourself, you understand that there is nothing to boast of in yourself. I think that some homeless, socially degraded person, but who has retained the code of honor, if you put him and me on the scales, it may turn out to be more noble in the face of God than I, a prosperous priest with a good opinion of himself. And after such an acquaintance, you can start moving on. Be sure to understand that no matter what we do, our efforts will not be enough to see something in ourselves and fight something. Because the Lord said, without me, ye can do nothing. John 15:5. Here the word nothing is key. No matter what I do, no matter what ascetic exercises I believe, it still won't be enough. I will not be able to do anything without God. Remember that our path is to Easter. You can also ask yourself the following question. Why do I need all these ascetic exercises? Why do I want to struggle with something in myself during these 40 days? Perhaps it will be easier to fast and to understand the meaning of this struggle if I remember that the Lord was crucified not for the sake of abstract humanity as a whole, but for my sake. The final point of our fast is Pascha, and before it there will be a Holy Week. And our time of struggle and repentance is the time before the Passion. And then you will need to forget about yourself, about all your inner troubles. After all, when we look inside ourselves, this is partly a selfish gaze. Everything revolves around me again. On Passion Day, I take up the cross and follow Christ, crying, compassionate, because the Lord was crucified for my sake. Not for the sake of humanity in general, but for the sake of me, Father Ilya, who serves in the village. For my sake, Christ goes to torture, breathes his last, and rises. Therefore, it is impossible to understand fasting without church services, without reading the gospel. Outside of the liturgical living of this time, these pre-sanctified liturgies, the prayers of Ephraim the Syrian, all our efforts to change ourselves will be just exercises, like in a gym. In the gym, I do exercises for muscle groups, for my biceps, triceps, just for the sake of athletic shape. But during Lent, I try to change not for the sake of form, but in order to follow the Savior, to follow his cross, and so I must not abandon my defects and vices. See what's interfering with traffic. Going on this journey, I must disassemble and reassemble myself, review where my faults are, where there is most sand in the gears, what interferes with movement. Once I climbed Elbus, and I remember how the guide shook our backpacks so that there was no extra gram in them, because all this interferes with a long-distance hike. That's how you need to try to remove the superfluous, to reassemble yourself. If I, for example, am hot-tempered, think about why I am so hot-tempered. Because I believe that I am a king and a god. I know everything better than anyone else. Any remark provokes an outburst of anger in me. And so these angry forces of the soul, which are given in order to fight evil, including in oneself, is directed in the wrong direction, at my neighbors, at my subordinates. It is naive to think that fasting is a big, beautiful pill that I will take, and by Easter everything will be fine in my life. But on the other hand, God can work a miracle. There is such a fork here. On the one hand, we are called to work. On the other hand, no matter how much we work, we will not be able to do anything on our own. Therefore, we will put the following order in our heads. I will work with the oars, and God will be at the wheel. Then the Lord will save me because he knows where to swim, where to go, where to fly. I need to act, but God saves me, and this should be the second starting point. If we push God out of the perimeter of our lives, then everything will be in vain. And with God, even a small effort can cause serious shifts in the hardened, fused tectonic plates in my complex being. Ask and not be offended. To understand what to struggle within yourself, the simplest thing is to ask your neighbors. Only understand in advance that you can hear something offensive and be ready to accept it. See what you are most often reproached for. The boss reproaches you for being late. When you begin to arrive on time, when you finally have lunch, the system administrator checks your computer, notices that you are again on the social networks. In the family, the husband's wife asks when he will finally put the barn in order, and the husband has been asking his wife to make him some special pasties for many years. Even that our neighbors sometimes reproach us for, even in jest, points to the defects of our character, of our spiritual life. But if our neighbors ask us what to fight during Lent, then we need to answer more delicately. We cut from the shoulder too often. We are such truth lovers. We often do not know how to use words. You can directly ask the priest to whom you go to confession. He knows what you are confessing to, and because of his delicacy, he may not speak for fear of offending you. If there is no one who would prompt you, then you just need to stop the fuss and invite God into this space of your life. Lord, show me how to understand where to change, what to do with myself. The Lord will prompt through a book, through a thought, through the words of loved ones, and through conscience, it will prompt you. Because conscience is the hidden voice of God in a person. Think without fuss. To understand something about yourself, it's useful to be in silence. Go to a monastery, not necessarily somewhere far away, even the closest one. Rent a hotel room, go to the service in the evening, walk down the street, pull yourself out of the daily cycle, calm down and think. You can read St. Ignatius Brainchananov to help the repentant. His teaching on passions and virtues is well described. For example, the love of money, how does it manifest itself in you? When you love money and finances are the main thing in life for you, think about what is valuable to you. You say that Christ is the main value for you. Do you go to meet him on Sunday? You don't go? Or gluttony. In our view, a medieval engraving is drawn where a person with a big belly lies and cannot move. And gluttony is also sabbatism, sorting out dishes and the desire to pamper yourself. There's also such a sin on the list, love of cruise. How we rush around with our cars, wash them. We can kick the child's ears if he slams something there, left the garbage. Sometimes what needs to be fought is quite obvious. I myself would like to establish a routine during Lent. Because I go to bed late, it seems to be under a good pretext. You need to reply to messages, read something useful. But as a result, there are many problems. I want to be silent in the family anymore. There can be no unusual advice. We are all so different. But the principle of honesty will help you understand yourself. In short, we need to turn to God, act, understanding that without him we can do nothing, and give the result to God. He leads us, and the road is not always smooth. To harden yourself, sometimes you have to go through Iraqi, through a dark forest. It also happens that we make mistakes, and these mistakes with the right conclusions, we gain experience, and our spiritual growth takes place. Archpriest Ilya Zubri, March 16th, 2026. This was written tomorrow, in case you didn't catch that. So I think I'm going to go out into the woods for a little bit and take a short walk. I took communion today, was at Divine Liturgy. Took a little nap, but I'm going to throw some warmer clothes on and go out in the forest since the sun is shining so brightly right now and take advantage of a little bit warmer weather. I love you, brothers and sisters. Thank you so much for joining me and listening. God bless. God willing, I'll see you again on the next one.